apprenticeship is a good way to give young people the opportunity to learn on the job as well as study, because by the time they're through their apprenticeship, you don't need to onboard them anymore. They have the experiences already. It's a great opportunity. Yes, one thing the employers might say might be, do we have the resources to help these people get to where they need to be? But I think give it a go and see how you get on. There's no one size fits all here.
Welcome to Workplus, the podcast that shines a light on the people doing good work across Northern Ireland. I'm your host, Richard Kirk, founder of Workplus. I've spent years working with employers, schools, colleges and universities, helping young people and career changers to make better informed career decisions. Each week, I sit down with real people doing real jobs to explore how they got there, what they've learned, and why their work matters. If you're a parent, teacher, carer, or just curious about what good work looks like today, you're in the right place. Let's dive in. Esther, so great to have you on the podcast today. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you. Great to be here.
Great. Esther, how did you come to be in Northern Ireland then? You're from Nigeria originally, is that right? Yeah?
Yes, I'm originally from Nigeria and moved to Northern Ireland because I got married and my husband worked here. So yeah, came straight over to join him. So, and I've been here since then.
How long has that been?
That was back in 2010.
Okay, great.
So I've been here for quite some time.
That's good. That's good. And tell us about your career journey. Like, how did that all start out for you? You know, you mentioned, we were chatting earlier there just about working in Asda and places like that, customer service roles. Like, yeah. How did it all start out for you?
Yes. So after moving from Nigeria to here, obviously, I had to kind of like start again. And the first job that I had was the, census collector role, which I actually did over in England before settling in Northern Ireland. So it was quite interesting because it helped me to get comfortable with people and knocking at people's door and chatting to other people, which then went straight into, customer service role in Asda down in Downpatrick. And that was also very good because I just love working with customers. I love working with people, and going to work to chat to other people is something I enjoy doing anyway. And that's how I kind of like started and got pregnant. And in between my maternity period, then I decided to, enroll on an access course. Okay. Which I did, and went back to uni at Queen's as a mature student. So,
brilliant.
And got my degree, and
brilliant.
This is me now.
Well, how did you find out? How did you find out about the access course, and what was it that sparked you to think I'd like to do something else? Yeah,
I think working with customers is great. Working as a customer service agent in Asda is great, but at the same time, I wanted more. I think because that wasn't what I wanted to do for the rest of my life. And because I'd studied Polytechnic, computer science at a Polytechnic in Nigeria, I thought, I'd love to go back to that. And I think during my maternity period, I just kind of like came to that conclusion, if I'm going to do something, it's better to do it now. And that was why I, went back to uni. And the access course was being a mature student. I had no A-levels. I only had GCSEs. So I couldn't go straight into uni from, my GCSE. So I needed something that is equivalent to A-levels. And the access course was the best way to do it. And I actually got that done in, one of the CERC Institute, like the Southern Regional Colleges. And did that for a year, I think. And then off I went to uni.
Brilliant. And so did you do full-time uni, or did you do it part-time?
Yeah, I did full-time uni. Yeah, wow. Had to worry about things like childcare and things like that. But we made do. And it's just, I think it was all about determination. I knew what I wanted to do and I knew where I wanted to get to eventually. And in as much as it wasn't easy, but I got quite a lot of support, because I think a lot of mature students with children can get the support if they're going into full-time education in when it comes to childcare and other support. So that really helped because it helped to cover some of the fees for, in order for me to go to uni and get the degree that I needed. So,
yeah. That's so good. And so you mentioned you had computer science when you were back in your polytechnic in Nigeria. Like, is that something that a lot of girls were choosing in your class, or?
Well, do you know what? Actually, when it comes to software and computer science, back in the days, I'll say back in the days because I'm talking about, almost 20 years now. I think when you think about that back in Nigeria, it was something that girls can go into as well. There was many girls in my class at the time, so it wasn't just a boy, course that only boys did or only men did, but women were also quite very much exposed to and have had the opportunity to do such degrees. And it's not as, I wouldn't say it's bad here because I've noticed girls, you don't get many girls going into STEM courses or degrees, and that's not something that is, that I saw in my polytechnic years. And it would be great to have the same thing here, whereby we have many women and girls going into, so-called men-dominated jobs or degrees. So, yeah.
Do you think there are barriers for young women thinking about computer science or software? Like, do they understand what it is? It's I wouldn't say necessarily. I think going into computer science or software engineering is something you need to have a passion for. Because it's one thing saying we want more girls involved in software engineering, but if that's not what they really want to do, it probably sign up to the degree and drop out eventually. And because I saw quite a lot of that during my university years, you get a class full of boys and girls almost in the same ratio, and after some time, you see those that probably were doing software engineering or computer science automatically drift into things like business information technology. So those less heavy coding courses. I'm not sure what the reason is, but I think it's all about passion and determination in terms of your ambitions and what you want to do. And that's probably a gap we need to plug in secondary schools and, further education and things like that. But yeah, it's a tricky one. And for you, you said it was something you wanted to do from a young age. What was it that attracted you to doing that?
I just love the idea of, sitting down, writing code and seeing it do something. I like that, that was something that motivated me because I want to see results. I'm a result-driven person. So if I'm doing something, it has to have a purpose. And when it comes to coding and software development, when you sit down and you build something from scratch, and, just on a click of a button, you see your hard work kind of like performing a certain, event, or that was what motivated me really, because I just like to tinker. So I like to get into things and break things and see how they work and then fix it again. So software and computers, software engineering helped me do that.
Good. And so tell us, like, what are some of the things you've been working on then since you did your degree? Did you go straight to work?
Yes,
after that?
I did my degree and straight to work because I started off, working once I started uni. My degree pathway included placement year, so I kind of like started off with then Tascomi, which was then acquired, and now Idox. So that's why I've started my career and on still with the same company. And I've worked, we do software development, and that's what I've been much involved in. After my placement, went back as a graduate and dived straight into into IT support role, and then development and building features into our product. And it's been a long. I love it. But at the same time, the area when it comes to people management and, having to make changes on the management level, that was where I wanted to take it, but also within the software industry, because I didn't want to get away from that, because it's something that I always loved, and something I think I'll love for quite some time. So, yeah.
Give us an example then of, you talked about you like to put in code and see what comes out the other side, or like what are some of the examples of things that you've created then?
Yeah. So in one of the projects I worked on was because we as a software company we produce software that local governments would use, but here in Northern Ireland and across south of Ireland as well as mainland UK. So some of the software, we have a customer portal whereby it's public facing, and I had to build in a feature whereby the customers can be able to kind of like self-serve and do certain things that they usually wouldn't be able to do, from the customer portal. And that even up to today, whenever I see that feature and that, that aspect of our products, I kind of like, I say to myself, yes, I built this, and, it's still there, and it's not going to go away, hopefully. And, no, I think it's sometimes when it comes to software development, it's what motivates a lot of engineers will be building something that is useful and stays there for a very long time. And that was one of the projects I worked on, and seeing it still being, helping our customers or even, the public be able to apply for products using our software, and helping the customer do their own, self-serve and not have to reach out to us to do certain things. That was a very good one for me.
Now you're an engineering manager in that role. So you've got responsibility for software engineers in your team?
Yes,
then?
I do.
Tell us a bit about what that looks like.
I've recently come into this new role anyway, but prior to that, I was the product support lead, where I also manage a small team of engineers who focus mainly on customer support and on the technical side. And so team management is something that I've already started working on, but now as a software engineering manager, it's never easy managing a team, but it's an interesting role because now I'm much more involved in a lot of decision making that I wouldn't have been in the first place. Just making sure my team is working effectively. They're happy, because I think having a happy team means you're going to get work done. But if the team isn't happy or motivated to do work, you're not going to get much out of them. So I think as a software engineering manager, those things are important to me, making sure that my team is happy and motivated. And, in order for us to get results and get our products out there for our customers. And Mm-hmm. So it is challenging so far because getting in contact and working well with stakeholders as well. It's really, really important in making the team work well. Yeah.
Are things there that you've had to learn fresh, or even looking back? Yeah.
Absolutely.
So tell us a bit more about just
there's so much to learn now as a software manager, because it's not, I think it's the same for every role really. Once you never stop learning, in as much as I might have a lot of knowledge already as a software, as a product support lead, managing a team and all of that, but the software engineering manager takes it up a notch. Whereby sometimes the challenges, I think, in this is being able to work with other people and actually be patient enough, to listen to others, to listen to their concerns, and not having to jump into things quickly. It's important to take a step back and see things from other people's perspective before decisions can be made and finalized. And that's something I'm learning to do more of, just listen to people more and understand why they're unhappy about certain things, especially, when it comes to products and working with others. Because when it comes to software engineering, it's not just the software engineering team. It encompasses a lot of other stakeholders that are involved. There's a QA team, there's a product team, there's a project team. And, and when you think about bring all of those people together, that's a lot of people that you have to, deal with every single day. And it's important that everybody's on the same page. And that's my current challenge at the moment, making sure that we're all on the same page and we're all kind of like, singing the same note. So highly, that's one thing.
There might be some young people who are thinking, well, software engineering, it sounds like it's going to be me and my laptop by myself. But it sounds very different for the way you described it there. Yeah. So if they're thinking, I'm not sure this is for me because I don't think I could do that by myself or just be in a room by myself, what would you say to them?
No, software engineering is not just about you sitting there on your laptop every single day. No, it involves, it's a team. I'd say it's a team sport. You can relate it to a team sport whereby you'll be working in a team. You'll be talking to your team. You're going to make sure you're building software that, works along the rest of your team. So it's not just a case of you sitting there and just working, being alone. If you want to do that, I'm sure your team can make room for you to do that now and again. But it also involves chatting to other people, making sure you're engaged and aware of what your other team members are working on, and just being in the loop. And it's not a one-man band, really. So it does involve other people. Whether you're an introvert or an extrovert, there's always, there's room for you in software development. So please give it a go. Don't let that deter you at all. No, absolutely. Don't. Yeah. I think sometimes people get, young people might get scared because they think, oh, it's just going to be myself and my laptop. No, it's not. And I think what we've tried to introduce within the team in my company is to encourage people to come to the office and engage with others now and again. That social aspect is also there, and it just keeps us going, I guess.
Brilliant. Well, we got to know each other a couple of years ago when Idox started working with Workplus to think about bringing in talent in a slightly different way. Can you tell us a bit about the journey that Idox was going on, to get to the point where they were thinking about new talent pathways?
Yes. So in the past, like I said, I came into this company as a summer intern at first, after my first year of uni, and then came back as a placement student. So it's something we've always had. We've always been open to new talent, bringing new talent in, and making sure we provide young people the opportunity to get the experience that they need, and just to see what it's like being a software engineer, and hopefully to concrete their decision on being software engineers. And those opportunities are always there. And Idox has always made sure that we keep that route open. And I think a few years ago, after we came in, after I met you, really, it kind of like we started thinking about apprenticeship and how we can get apprentices into our workplace, and in order to make sure that we're still providing people with those opportunities, and just as much as we can. And apprenticeship is one way that we thought we'll be able to, give more to young people, not just by offering placement positions, but also including apprenticeship as part of, that growth within the team. So, and it's something we've taken on so far, and everybody in the team is on board, and it seems to be going well so far. And now we're taking on more apprentices, this year as well. So it's a great opportunity, and it also opens the door for young people that do not want to maybe do university degree Monday to Friday. Yeah. It's a big opportunity whereby you get to study and you get to work and you get to earn at the same time. So if there's no reason for you to do apprenticeship, I think earning is one of them. But no, it's a huge opportunity for any young person, and apprenticeship is a good way to go.
If you were talking to an employer who's only ever maybe thought about taking on graduates that maybe dip their toe in the water of placements, how does apprenticeships fit into that? What would you say to them about apprenticeships if they were feeling, I'm not sure whether that's for us?
Okay. I think we need to think, first of all, as employers, how can we help our young people, grow and make them better at what they do? Apprenticeship is a good way to give young people the opportunity to learn on the job as well as study, because by the time they're through their apprenticeship, you don't need to onboard them anymore. They have the experiences already. They're probably already involved in a lot of projects that the company is already, ongoing projects. And it's a great opportunity. Yes, one thing the employers might say might be, do we have the resources to help these people get to where they need to be? But I think give it a go and see how you get on. There's no one size fits all here. Apprenticeship might differ from company to company, but for us, we've found it a good way to get young people in and get them growing and becoming more comfortable with our software over time. And as they've become part of the team, and and at the moment, one of our apprentices is currently helping other junior, like the placement students coming in and other junior people as well to, understand the product a bit more. And they're much more. They're doing some big projects as well, which is one thing. I know some employers might think, apprentices, what are they going to be able to do for us once we bring them in? But don't be afraid to challenge them. Brandon, who we have now, hopefully he's not going to mind me saying his name. He's been amazing, and he's been up for any project to bring his way. He's ready to just jump in. I think give them the opportunity. Don't think they don't have the knowledge.
Yeah.
They can only learn if you let them. So
good to hear. As a business, is there a better return on your investment from an apprentice compared to a graduate?
I wouldn't want to compare that way.
Okay, that's fine.
I wouldn't want to compare that way, because I think every whatever choice young people make in order to get to their career, goal eventually is up to them. But as an employer, I know, because if we start comparing it that way, we'll probably end up just hiring apprentices and not hire graduates. But we want to make sure graduates have put in the work. They've been full-time studies, for 3 or 4 years, depending on which pathway they choose. And apprentices, from my own perspective, as a company, I think apprentices for us is valuable because, like I explained earlier, you're already equipping them with all the tools they need to be part of the company. But when a graduate comes in, even though it's after 3 years or 4 years of degree of studying, you're going to have to spend time to onboard them and get them up to speed. Whereby an apprentice who is probably 2 or 3 years into their degree pathway have already surpassed a graduate at that stage. So if you put it into those two perspectives, you can say maybe apprenticeship is much more value, but every pathway has its own benefits at the same time.
Yeah, no, that's good.
Trying to be political here.
No. I was talking to a very large organisation recently, and they said that they had stopped their graduate intake because apprentices have been so powerful, both for bringing in new people, young people, but also bringing in people who are career changers.
Yeah.
Because for someone to get into that organisation, if they just had graduate positions, that person would need to go and get a degree, maybe much like you had to do, Esther, and then prove themselves that they got that degree to get the job as a graduate. But the company has said they're maybe bringing in 40 or 50 per year.
Yeah.
And they're saying we just want to keep the door as open as possible. And they've had people, actually, they have a lady who's a grandmother who's just has become an apprentice. So the other end of the spectrum. And if they just maybe had that graduate intake. But anyway, I know that's unusual for a company to make a complete shift. But I'm always interested to understand how the company thinks about those different pathways.
Their thinking, is actually quite valid. But at the same time, we don't want to shut down graduate pathway.
Yeah.
We still want to keep it open and give everybody equal opportunity, whatever path you decide.
Yeah, totally. Yeah. You mentioned about some of the costs of bringing in an apprentice in terms of onboarding them, etc., and their salary and all that, because it's a job. But mentoring can be something which employers would say, oh, actually we don't have the capacity to mentor an apprentice. But tell us a bit about what your experience has been like.
Yeah, mentoring is one thing. I think that is something that will be number one thing to think about first before we even think about costs, because when you think about the time it would take another engineer, let's say another senior mid-level engineer to onboard or mentor an apprentice, when you think about all of that, you wonder in terms of the corporate goal and objectives, does this actually align with what we're aiming for, or how is it going to affect us? So you need to think about the resources. If you don't have the manpower to, mentor and give time to those apprentices, I think you'll be doing them a disfavor kind of. So you need to make sure you have the people there to mentor, guide them, and get them to where they need to be, in their career. And that should be the first thing every company should think about, first of all, before we even bring in the idea of the cost of getting the apprentice into the company.
Is it quite similar in terms of the responsibility of that mentor to a graduate coming in, or is it more onerous? Is it less onerous? Is it about the same?
I think that's where, when it comes to graduates, it wouldn't. I don't think it would require the same amount of time you give a mentor would give a graduate, to be given to an apprentice as well, because apprentices will be coming in straight out. Most of them will be coming in straight out of secondary school, and they've got no, I don't want to say they've got no maturity, because they are mature if they're going into work. But, being in university exposes you to more other things than, coming in as an apprentice. So they're going to need more time to get them into that idea of, this is you now working and learning. And, sometimes young people can take their time getting up to the idea of being in work. And, that also take some time, because and the ability for them to grasp things as well, not having done some studying in relation to the role, can be a bit of a setback. But I think with a great mentor in hand, it should be okay to get them up to speed. But it will take more time with an apprentice, getting them onboarded or getting them mentored, than you'd give to a graduate, because a graduate knows every bit of software principles and so they can deal with it much faster.
Yeah. Do you find that apprentices are better placed for work in that they're still used to the routine? If they've come from school, that they're still used to the routine of going to school, compared to a graduate who has come out, has maybe had 10 or 12 hours of lectures per week, maybe more of a social life.
Yeah.
Do you notice any differences in that sense, or not really?
Not from experience, no. I think once someone decides to be an apprentice, they know what it entails. They know this is full-time, technically full-time work with a day at uni, and they know what they're getting themselves into. And they are very equipped to go straight into the work life, and they're happy to do that. And well, most of them would be, when I say, so most of them would be. And but when it comes to a graduate might be used to, the freedom of going to lecture, and some of them, if they wish to or not, but and being more involved socially as well. So work isn't something they would have experienced if their degree did not include a placement year, or and unless they've experienced that in their placement year, they wouldn't know what to expect when it comes to work. But if it's a straight year degree, it might kind of like not prepare them enough for the world of work. But the hope is that every young person who has done a degree would know what to expect afterwards, and get straight into the work life. Working is not easy. It's never easy. I'm sure a lot of people would attest to. Even a lot of our young people who go into apprenticeship, or even degree pathway as a university graduate, would be working anyway. Many of them would be doing evening jobs and things like that prior to the pathway they've chosen. Yeah. So I think. Maybe I'm doing them a disservice by saying they might not be well equipped, but I think they would be if they've been involved in work prior to finishing school.
Yeah, and if we've if we've any parents or young people or teachers listening, so you're saying there about those who have done work, had some sort of evening job or hospitality, working as a census worker, even when you're 17 or whatever. Is that something you're looking for whenever applicants are coming through? Does that
a work experience?
Does that make them stand out for you?
Not necessarily. Not necessarily, because I think not everybody would have had the opportunity to have done some bit of work before coming in as an apprentice, or even as a graduate software engineer. Not many of them would have had that opportunity, and we as a company, we don't want to just exclude people just because of that. We give everybody equal opportunity. It's more about the impression you make during interviews and how you come across and what your aspirations are. And obviously backed up with your maybe academics and any work experience you've done, which would be a plus, but it's not necessarily,
it doesn't close the
a
door
negative
for them.
If you don't have work experience. So because we want to make it, we want to give everybody an equal opportunity as much as possible.
Okay, great. Esther, just a final question, just as we close up the podcast today. So at Workplus, we believe work is a really positive thing. It can do great things, and we've heard today about the journey you've been on. But for you, what's so good about work?
Work. Yes. What's so good about work? Work for me is an escape, kind of, if you ask me. Work is there's, how do I put it? I'm trying to put it in a way that's going to encourage people to go into work, especially young people. Work I think is an important aspect of my life, really, because it means I go into work knowing that I'm making a difference. I go into work knowing that when I get there, I get to interact with other people. I work with a great team of engineers who I like talking to, and the social aspect of it is great. But at the same time, it's just going into work knowing that you're producing a software that is used by so many across the UK and Ireland, and it just gives me joy to see that as part of what I do every day. And don't get me wrong, work can be work is hard work. Let's put it that way. It's never easy, and I'm sure nobody want to be delusional about that. But it's all about the positive aspects you get out of it in the end. It outweighs whatever negatives there are. And getting up every day to go to work is great for me. Hopefully I'm mastering all these questions.
No, that is perfect. Perfect. A great way to end. Esther, wish you every success in your career, all you're doing, and thank you so much for taking the time to talk with us today.
No, I appreciate you having me, and thank you very much.
Thank you. Thanks for tuning in to Workplus. If today's story gave you fresh perspective or helped you rethink what's possible, leave us a review on your favourite podcast platform or hit like and subscribe. It really does make a big difference. For more stories, resources, and tools to help guide the next generation, visit workplus.app. Until next time.